Dave Stagl here from Going to 11, and today I want to talk about why your live vocals probably need compression. If there's kind of a common thread I've been seeing over the last year or so when I'm going out to churches and doing training, it's that compression maybe isn't being used quite to the extent that it would really benefit the engineers who are mixing. So today, I want to talk about why vocals typically need compression, and then I'll show a way, not the way, but a way of applying compression to a vocal to help it work in a mix. So first up, I've got a live recording here from a church service I was probably mixing front of house for, and my good friend Brian has offered up his vocal for us to use as an example. So thank you so much, Brian. So let's listen to what we've got here. We've got the band all mixed and some stuff dialed in on the vocal in terms of EQ and de-essing, things like that. But other than that, this is just going to be the raw without any compression. So I'm going to play the band and try and kind of get that vocal up at a place where it should be.
Singing we're alive, 'cause you're alive.
All right, so what I'm hearing right now without any compression on this is there isn't really one place where I can sit the fader to kind of be in the right ballpark. His vocal is really dynamic. Let's go back to the start of this verse.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life.
So you can hear when he sings the word dead, it's really popping out there. And then the phrases he's singing after that are kind of falling off. Now, there's nothing wrong with this performance. It was on stage. It was in front of a big room full of people. If we were in a room and Brian was just playing his acoustic guitar and singing like this, we would think this is great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. This is a natural part of a lot of vocalists. So the issue we run into, though, is when we try and put a vocal like this that has a lot of dynamic in it, if we put it with a band, the band tends to be a lot more solid and consistent in terms of level. So let's look at this a little closer. I've got a couple of VUs. I pull those up. So this VU meter over here on the left is just our instruments, minus the drums and bass. So it's guitars, it's the keyboards, it's whatever tracks there were. It's just kind of that bed that is going along for the song. Over here on the right is going to be our vocal. So what I want you to do is take a look at these meters while I play back this section, and don't worry so much about the level, but take a look at the movement of the needles.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing we're alive, 'cause you're alive.
So our instrument meters, the needles don't have a ton of movement. They're just kind of hanging out right around here, holding pretty steady. On the other hand, that vocal, it's just all over the place in terms of dynamics. So our meters are bouncing around. When we try and sit something that has a lot of dynamics like that with something that doesn't have a lot of dynamics, it's not going to sit together. So that's where compression can come in, because with our compressor, we can kind of get these dynamics to get a little closer to the dynamics of the band. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute this vocal, and I'm just going to duplicate the channel. So we've got that original there. We can always go back to. All right, and I'm going to use a CLA 76 to start. So I'll just name this the CLA 76. Why am I choosing a CLA 76? Well, it's a classic vocal compressor. This particular plugin was modeled on one of Chris Lord-Alge's favorite Revision A 1176s. And he uses it on vocals, so I'm going to kind of throw it on vocals. Setting the attack around 3 in the release on 7 is kind of a sweet spot for this particular compressor on vocals. Those are both very fast attack and releases. The CLA 76, it kind of goes from fast at 1 to stupid fast around 7. So higher numbers are faster on this compressor and lower numbers are slower. Now, one of the differences between this compressor and a lot of the typical console compressors you might run into is this particular plugin and other 1176 style compressors, they have a fixed threshold. So for us to add compression to it, we have to push the input up and drive into that threshold to make it compress. So I've just got this kind of set so that it's not going to be doing anything to start with. But one of the things I also want to do here before we get started is I'm going to turn off the gain reduction meter. Gain reduction freaks a lot of people out when they see it. So let's just put it on output and let's just listen. And things you can listen for as I'm just going to play it back and I'm going to push the input up and I'll compensate for any extra gain by pulling the fader down in the meantime. But what you can listen for is listen to those quieter phrases of the verse relative to those places that it was poking out, like on the word dead. And what I want to do is I want to get those quieter parts closer in level to the louder parts, like that stuff that was popping out. So I'll just play it back and start driving the input up.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing, we're alive, 'cause you're alive.
All right about here is where I'm starting to kind of feel like it's making a difference. Let's go back to our original real quick and just listen to that.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life.
All right, let's just compare those phrases.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life.
So right there, to me, to my ears, I'm hearing it like those phrases are kind of, they're a lot closer to the stuff that was poking out. But let's take a look at the VU meters and see what's going on with that. So just take a look at the vocal one.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life.
So we've still got a lot of movement on that meter, but it's definitely not as much as our original, which was this.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life.
Right about there. This is a good place. This is probably where I would stop if I was mixing front of house live, because I don't want to put too much compression on things. Just for giggles, let's look at how much gain reduction is this compressor doing at these settings.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life.
So we're hitting 7 dB, 10 dB of gain reduction in places. That might seem like a lot of compression to you, but this is a dynamic vocal. I mean, we still haven't completely tamed the dynamics, but I think they're in a good place for kind of a live room front of house scenario. Now, with compression, sometimes there can be a point of diminishing return. So let's just, for grins, I'm going to copy these settings over to the B side on the settings here, and I'm just going to push that input up even more, and let's kind of see what happens.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. You call me out of the grave.
So up around here, I'm hearing it pumping a little bit in ways that I don't necessarily like. Not all pumping is bad to me all the time, but It's getting a little too obvious. I'm starting to hear more of the ambience from stuff on the stage is kind of coming up too much, and it's just starting to feel overall too squished. It's losing the excitement I had. So I'm going to go back to that. So like I said, right about here, this is probably where I would stop if we were doing live stuff in the room, but I'm in my studio today. So let's take this to another level. Let's do something that's called serial compression. So I'm going to add another compressor after that. Let's mute this. I'll just duplicate it again. And I'm going to add a compressor called Renaissance Vox, affectionately known as RVox, which is a very nice vocal compressor that was developed for, you guessed it, vocals. So the first thing I want to do with this when I'm doing live stuff is I want to set this gate. There's a gate on here that is not a hard gate. It's a soft gate, and it's really good for cleaning up ambient stuff that might be going on, like, you know, backline bleed or acoustic drums, PA bleed, things like that on the stage. This stage in particular was pretty quiet, so there's not a ton of bleed there. If we solo this up in a quiet section, there's stuff there, but it's not outrageous. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust the level of the gate so that the threshold for the gate is above the level of this noise. That snare is going to pop it open a little bit. But now, if we put it on that vocal, let's make sure it's going to open.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life.
So I've got some room, I can turn this up. What I just want to make sure is that when he sings, it's always going to open. No matter how hard or soft he's singing, I want it to always open. In a live scenario on stage, if he stops and talks, sometimes vocalists, when they talk, they don't talk as loud as they sing. And if you've got this gate set in the wrong spot, you'll be gating them when they talk, making it even harder for people to hear it. So real important to get that level right if you're going to use it. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to dial in this compression. There's a trick on Waves plugins. If you drag around them, you can create a box and we can control multiple controls at one time. So one of the things with RVox is it has an automatic makeup gain in it, which sometimes can be problematic depending on how hard the level is you're driving in, because we might start turning up gain on it before we've even done any gain reduction. So I'm just going to pull both of these down together until I start seeing gain reduction while he's singing, and then I'll switch over and just use the compression control. So here we go.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back.
All right, so right about there. So now let's switch over to this, and I'm just going to do, I don't know, maybe 6. I'm not going to think too hard about it. We'll just adjust it.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing, we're alive.
All right, these meters, I'm going to adjust these. I think I want to go this way.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing, we're alive, 'cause you're alive.
All right, now I can hear it, and I can see that these meters are really, they're kind of hanging more around in here. So we're getting a lot more control right there. You know, just to go one step further, because we can, I'm going to do one more thing to this vocal. Let's duplicate it again. Let's move this over here. And I'm going to add Vocal Rider. V-Rider. All right, so let's turn that on. And I'm going to use the live version because, again, this was a live recording. One of the first things here that I want to do is I want to make sure that the spill and the bleed in that vocal isn't triggering the rider. And we can control that with the spill control. So let me just check. Just a little bit. If I go down, you can see that when I turn it down all the way, it really wants to key in off of all that background noise. So we'll go back. All right, let's find some vocal here. Go right to here. And the next thing I want to do is I'm just going to adjust this target. Usually you can set it so that the peak level is kind of right around here to start on this edge of the control. And then I will adjust the target so that the fader is hanging out more or less kind of right around unity. What I don't want to do, especially in a live scenario, is I don't want Vocal Rider to do a ton of boosting. I kind of want it to ride the vocal and take it up and take it down where it needs to go. So I will do that next.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing we're alive. 'Cause you're alive. You call me out of the grave, you call me into the light.
All right, let me flip over to my other speakers and hear how this sounds.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Hear the song awaken, all creation singing we're alive. 'Cause you're alive. You call me out.
All right, let's close all of these processors out. Now that we've got them all dialed in, I'm just going to pop through the different versions of it so that we can just listen to the changes. I'll start with the one with no compression, and I'll just move through so that you can listen.
Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life. Feel the darkness shaking, all the dead are coming back to life. Oh, back to life.
So there you have it. I hope that helps. If you're engineering at a church and would like to get some help in person, on site, working right with the musicians and the tracks and everything that you're used to on a regular basis, I do on-site training all the time with churches across the United States. To find out more about that, you can visit my website at goingto11.com and feel free to message me there if you've got questions or would like to get some training in person. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.